And I mean, one of the interesting things I'd like to ask both of you about it, John, I'll start with you because we talked about it yesterday. Kevin De Bruyne, he was City's best player last season. I think he might have been Footballer of the Year. He certainly came very close. But he was a driving force in that City team when they won the championship so convincingly last year. When they needed him in games, big games, he stepped up to the plate. He scored goals, he made goals, and he was setting the tempo for the whole team. He's an entirely different animal this year.
Well, we spoke at Damon last week on your last podcast, and my take on it is that he's playing too far forward. When he was playing in the middle of the field last year, I think he was the best midfield player in that position in the Premiership. For some reason or other, he's playing further forward. Now, a couple of times he came deep. Actually, for the first goal on Saturday, he put Sterling through. Yeah. But in other words, the people who are in the middle of the field have to give him the ball, and they're not capable of doing it, where he should be back delivering the ball and bringing people together. And for some reason or other, I'm surprised at Guardiola doing it, because that's what he did last season, and he was the best midfield player in the Premiership. This season, he had an injury early on, as we spoke about earlier on. He had an injury early on, was set him back a bit. But since he's come back, he's playing more forward. And it doesn't suit him, and it doesn't suit City. As I said, the first goal was a really good pass from him to put Sterling through the score. But he should be back in that position all the time. And I think if he does go back into that position, we'll definitely see him as a much better player than he's playing at the moment. That's for sure.
Liam, there's a couple of times he was taken off early after 65 minutes, which is quite a long way from the end, 25 minutes from the end of a game. Walked past Guardiola. It was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. He looks a bit sulky at times. A player who clearly has an outstanding talent, but not himself at the moment.
Yeah, he performed better last season. Now, I don't know whether it's down to the fact that he had a World Cup this season. He's come back a bit tired. Yeah. As John mentioned there, he's picked up a couple of injuries. So it's been a stop-start season for him this year. And as John pointed out, he's playing a different position to where he performed so brilliantly last year. So, Guardiola, he might, if you're a player there, you wouldn't know where you stand with him, because he does change things around an awful lot, and when you're a player and you're a top player, you want to be playing every match,
Yeah.
And every match in the position that you like. So perhaps there is a bit of, sulking going on. I'm not sure, Eamon, but I know he's had a few niggly injuries. And it's been a stop-start season for him. He's an important player, and they're going to need him. As you mentioned, they've got Spurs and Man United in their fixture list coming up, and they're not going to be easy.
Yeah, and for example, I talked to John about it on Friday. In the game against Tottenham, the Champions League game during the week, he put De Bruyne and Sané on in the 89th minute. He didn't start them, A, and B, then he put them on with maybe 3 minutes to go, which was odd.
I think he picked the wrong team, to be quite honest. But he's known for that, Guardiola, isn't he? He sometimes picks his team in relation to the opposition rather than some managers who pick their team and have a way of playing themselves, and they say, well, no matter what we're up against, we're going to stick to the same way of playing. But at Manchester City, he's picked different sides, and in my opinion, he's picked them in relation to what he's going to be up against.
Yep.
And it backfired on against Spurs, because a 1-0 win for Spurs is a very, very good position to be in going into the second leg this week.
Yep.